Mr. Nerurkar, I want to come to the Orissa project. I mean, you've already started the greenfield sort of activities over there. What stage is it at? When do we see really traction coming from that?
As we said earlier, our target is to do it by year 13. And the work is on stream. We have lots of activities going on. I mean, if you ask me what is the traction, the piling work is going on in the full swing. The foundations of some of the major equipments are in place. The work is going on at full speed. So,
but when will the actual construction and the equipment?
All started.
Okay, all of that is started. And what about the port? I mean, when is that likely to be ready?
Port is already ready. I think last month we had some Damra port. We had some 18 or 20 rakes which came last month.
The commissioning was on 6th of May.
What's the capacity and what's the sort of capex that you've done on the port?
The total was 2,500 crores.
Okay, and what's the capacity over there?
It's about, eventually it will be about 23 million.
Right, 11.
Okay, and there was also some buzz that you were planning to add an LNG terminal over there in the Tata port.
LNG terminal.
Not immediate.
That's the plan in the longer term?
Long term for a port, yes. I mean, once you do your basic things, which is iron ore, coal, whatever, that cargo, the next steps, there is a steel. There could be that in our plans, but right now it's not immediately on the anvil or anything like this.
Okay, so coming to the macros, what's the outlook as far as demand is concerned? Because there is some bit of a slowdown and some bit of uncertainties both globally and in India. What's your outlook as far as demand for steel is concerned?
So if you hear what the FM or our PM has given the projections of the economy, while it's not double digit or anything like this, but people do expect anywhere between 7.5 to 8% growth. If you have that, the steel would grow around 9 to 10%. That there is no doubt. That's what will happen. Yes, for a particular quarter there can be a sentiment issue. Suddenly there is a oil price increase, or suddenly there is a interest rate increase. You immediately see some reactions. But overall, I do not see. As long as the economy is growing at this rate, the steel would consumption will go around 9 to 10%. I don't see that as an issue.
And what's the outlook as far as pricing is concerned? Because on one hand, you have all the raw material prices going up, and on the other hand, you're not able to pass on these price hikes to consumers, at least in the past quarter, because of the international benchmarking and so on. So what's the outlook from here?
No, but internationally also prices, I mean, it's very difficult because I am also not tracked it in that manner. But what happens today is when the raw material prices go up, the steel prices sentimentally, on the base of sentiments, the steel prices go up that quarter. But the raw materials you use, which you have bought earlier, so your margins go up. And when you start using your materials of higher cost, and at that time if the prices go down, the sentiment is to give you a lower price. So that time your margin gets squeezed. So this is what is going on. In one quarter you have a extra margin, next quarter you have a less margin. Now, how to balance that game and how does it happen? Every time it may not be fair, absolutely fair, but that's what is happening.
So in terms of, in percentage terms, what do we see as far as prices are concerned? Where are they headed, say, in the next 2 quarters?
No, I think if I would just elaborate on the point Mr. Nerurkar mentioned, it's become a 3-quarter cycle. So the spot prices in 1 quarter reflects in the benchmark contract prices for the next quarter, during which the company buys, and then by the time it hits the P&L of a steel company, it's the 3rd quarter, which from, I'm talking internationally, especially from a Western world perspective, it may get caught into seasonal aspects. For example, you have the summer slowdown in August, you've got the winter slowdown in December, which are seasonally known in international commodities market or steel market, and during those times, you may have in the P&L of a steel company the highest raw material prices and the most depressed steel prices. So there is this cyclicality which has become much more predominant post the annual contracts moving into quarterly contracts. So I think we need to bear that in perspective. It's not a percentage issue. It's basically on what weight of steel you would sell would this P&L hit come on. And therefore, again, by the nature of the cycle and the demand, the first 6 months calendar is the strongest period for those non-integrated steel players who buy iron ore and coal, because that's the time when the demands are stronger, the seasonal effects are lower, there are new fresh orders coming in from a past year's year-end, and therefore the first 6 months calendar are stronger. The increase, and because these are stronger, the spot prices during this quarter actually increases, which gets into the contract prices in July to September, which hits worst off in October or December, which incidentally from a demand perspective is a seasonally a slow quarter. So this is you've got to understand from, we all chase quarters, but from a overall yearly trend, this is how it moves.
If you have to break it up between long and flat products, right now there is some bit of a pressure being seen on the long products.
In India?
In India, I mean, because of the slowdown in infrastructure and in real estate especially, what's the outlook as far as that is concerned? When will that improve?
You see, the issue here is that the demand cycle in India, whether first in long products and also in flat products in automobile, gets affected by the monetary cycle, and with increase in the interest rates as one of the chosen tools by the central bank to curb inflation, that's obviously will temper down some kind of demand. So there would be some tempering that is happening. You can see it from the manufacturing data or the IIP numbers that come out. And that's why the moderation from 9.5% to 8% GDP will be there. But even at 8%, then steel demand is going to hopefully be around 9.5%, 10.5%. So I think within that band it will work, and it is then up to those companies, steel companies, to control cost and produce that grade of products which keeps the margin floating.